Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks. I know I'm doing this video a little bit early, but I'm gonna say this. This is two-pronged. One, apparently I don't really have plans later on tonight, so and apparently the plans are tomorrow, so I am going to do this video today. While also, honestly, I really wanted to talk about Dynamite this week, because there was a lot going on, especially the world title match. I'll get into that one. But first, we're going to be talking about NWA Power, continuation of the Crockett Cup tapings. And first things first, we got an in-ring interview with the Country Gentleman, with Joe Kazana taking the lead, saying, "You guys have always been disrespectful to us. I want those signs thrown out," in which it's signs of Joe Kazana in front of a Photoshop picture of a fried chicken leg with the caption, "Finger licking good," which, if you don't know, well, if you've seen Joe Kazana at all, he does look like Colonel Sanders. So, I'm just going to say that. So, Joe continues, "We're out here for the Crockett Cup. I'm tired of the Country Gentleman being disrespected. Murdoch, we respect you. We got nothing but love for you. Tyler Franks, though, he has done nothing to hurt my boys, costing them the United States Tag Team titles. This is going to be the year of the Country Gentleman, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Sick of everyone here in the NWA, so let's get it started." Before their opponents can come out, which is Trevor Murdoch and Tyler Franks, which, interesting team combination. We got a Tom Latimer promo, and he's sat in some library somewhere, where he says, "With our opponents, I'm really not." And he mentions that his opponents are the Drakes. So he's in the Crockett Cup with El Dragon Neon. Spoiler alert. He even says so. "I'm not nervous because I'm tagging with a monster." That's when El Dragon Neon comes in. Pretty much says, "Drakes, we're not scared of you. It's going to be nothing but a bad night for you." So, yeah, definitely some fighting words from the former world champion and his heavy now, I guess. Honestly, post Crockett Cup, I'd like to see them stay together as a unit and maybe throw in a legit tag team as well. Like, I don't know. That's actually an interesting one. Could be an interesting dynamic. Anyway, then we go to Dr. Vic's abode. He's sitting alone. He's still drinking whatever drink he's on. And then in walks who I initially thought was Miss Starr. But then I had a look at her and I thought, oh, that might be the original therapist that Dr. Vic got introduced with. But then also Greta walked in. I'm like, okay, is that Miss Starr? I'm not sure. So I was definitely a little confused. She didn't have her neck brace on. She wasn't really dressed to the nines like she usually is. She's like, had very plain clothes. Way more casual than I've seen her. Which, if that was supposed to be Miss Starr, maybe we could see her glammed up a little bit more. But then also, there really wasn't an indication that that was her. So, my mistake for mixing things up. I don't know who that was, really. So she pulls up a chair next to Dr. Vic, says, "Sorry about Tiffany. We've been trying to call you, but you never seem to pick up." So, takes a beat. Dr. Vic then picks up a piece of cake. Not in a plate, but like a glob with his hand, and just starts eating it like an apple, which, brother, been there. Anyway, so Miss Starr, or the other therapist, or whoever this is, continues. "Look, you tried things your way, you failed. TVMA has plans." Again, now I'm thinking this is Miss Starr, but I'm still not 100% sure. So, she continues, "It's time for you to start listening. But only if you really trust me. You can have everything you want. You just gotta give me a chance." So then, that cuts out. Go to a commercial. Come back. It's the return of the NWA history highlights, which I really do enjoy. It's a mix of highlights from the old school, like Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, combined with the new, like EC3 and Rich Swann and Murdoch and Knox. It's honestly a nice little mix of history. I like it. Anyway, then we go to our first matchup of the evening. It's about time. And it's a Crockett Cup first round matchup. So we got KC and AJ Kazana of the Country Gentlemen taking on Trevor Murdoch and Tyler Franks, which that's very interesting because if you remember in their promo, Franks has been costing the Country Gentlemen a lot. And Murdoch does start off. He definitely dominates the Country Gentlemen a bit. Then AJ tags in. And that turns into a little bit of a hoss fight. Then Franks gets in. He gets dominated a little bit. Fights out. Gets Murdoch back in, who just dominates. It's a big old DDT on KC. Is about to hit the Bulldog off the top rope, which, I'm going to say this, that's a cool move to have as a finisher. I enjoy it every single time. But then Franks tags himself in on Murdoch's foot. He gets in. Then the Country Gentlemen hit Country Breakfast, which is a hell of a name for a finisher. It's their leg sweep big boot combination, which I'll admit that's a cool move to pick up the win. So, yeah, Country Gentlemen moving on. We'll see how this goes. For me, I think the Country Gentlemen are either at or near the top of the list to win the Crockett Cup this year. But I could also see the Slime Balls going all the way, because they finished second last year. So, who knows? Overall, decent little match. I had some fun with it. I do wish there was a little bit more to it, but it's a first round matchup. We'll see more a little later on. Next up, we got the full lineup of the Southern Six. So that's Karen Morton, Alex Taylor, Thrillbilly Silas Mason. They're all back in some back room somewhere, which I always appreciate. So Kerry takes the lead on it, calling it like old times. Alex and I are on our way to the Crockett Cup. Thrillbilly has the world title. Let's see what happened when we beat the hard way. And what's next? Alex answers, it's taking that cup again. Then Thrillbilly chimes in, says, I've beaten the best that they can throw at me, including Brian Idol, but it looks like you can't take the hint. So you went to go cry to William Patrick Corgan, who's the owner, to get back at me. I beat everyone here. There's no one left. So it does look like Thrillbilly is getting a little overhyped on himself. And maybe that's where Idol takes the title. I did not mean to rhyme with that. So then we cut to the Country Gentleman. Joe Kazana takes the lead, saying, we just took out Knox and Murdoch. Not really, but I'll give it to him. But now I want to move on to the next big thing. And that William Patrick Corgan is trying to sue me for millions. This lawsuit almost bankrupted us. But Billy, we're going to pay you back by winning the Crockett Cup, take it to Tennessee, and paint it orange. Which, personally, I'd love to see. So, definitely some big words from the Country Gentleman. We'll see if they follow up on it. Next matchup, next first round Crockett Cup match, we got the weird odd couple team of Mims and the Pope. And apparently last year they teamed together in the Crockett Cup, which I do not remember that. I do not remember this team. Maybe they were in the Battle Royal or something, but yeah, I don't remember them teaming together. So they take on the Slime Balls. And as the Slime Balls are making their entrance, Pope and Mims jump the Slime Balls right at the bell. And then we're just off to the races. Pope and Mims keeping Chance in the corner. And just beating the heck out of him. Eventually he does get out. Tags in his partner, who just absolutely runs through Pope and Mims. Pope and Mims then, Mims hits a big old World's Strongest Slam. Pope and Mims then look like they're about to hit the Doomsday device. But Chance gets up on the apron, pushes Pope off the apron. Then they hit the Snot Rocket to pick up the win. And honestly, that was a wild win. And pretty much the reason why I think we're going to see the Slime Balls win the Crockett Cup. Anyway, post-match, we see Pope holding Mims back. Ooh, like it looks like he's about to kill the Slime Balls. Slime Balls, once again, go in for a handshake. Pope and Mims deny them, and they walk off. So, yeah, definitely some storyline. I could also see Pope and Mims maybe costing the Slime Balls, especially with this promo coming up. It's going to be interesting. So then we see backstage, it's Trevor Murdoch, Mike Knox, and Tyler Franks, with Trevor Murdoch just kind of verbally berating Franks. Like, what were you doing? All you had to do was stand on the apron. I did all the hard work. And then you see Franks kind of rolls his eyes and just say, sorry. Yeah, I know you're sorry. Sorry don't pay the bills. Which, great line. I love that. Then Mims, with a little puppy dog eyes, says, can I get another chance? You see Murdoch kind of stroke his chin a little bit. Noxie kind of turns the other way. Murdoch says, I don't know. We'll talk about it. Tyler Franks being the mentee to Knox and Murdoch could be interesting. Especially with however the heck much longer Knox is going to be out for. Franks being his replacement could be fun. I don't know. I like the idea behind this. So next up, we got this weird match that kind of came out of nowhere. It's Richard Adonis making his NWA debut. Maybe he's part of the new territory system. I don't know. But he looks like $1 million as he's taking on the JAC, aka Wrecking Ball Legursky's partner. Former partner. And honestly, this was a wild match. You definitely had Richard Adonis doing some flippy stuff. But this was an interesting clash of styles, with Richard being more technical and high-flying. JAC is definitely just a straight powerhouse. But they made this thing work. And then after a big old knee and a jackhammer, which JAC using that makes sense, your winner, the JAC. I'm going to say check this out. If you want to get to know some new wrestlers that you're not used to, I think this is a match that would make you a fan of either of these two guys. Next up, we go back to the tattoo parlor. We see the Southern Six and Tiffany Nieves in which Thrillbilly is trying to get a tattoo of champion in all different languages, which that is honestly a cool idea. Then Alex Taylor is talking about, they got drinks at the bar next door. And then Tiffany points out, well, we gotta do something because the Kazanas have been here for well over a month. And the camera pans, the Kazanas are sitting there. You have AJ in the chair. Look, no one's even helping them. And then we keep hearing Thrillbilly talking about skipping the line because he's the world champion. So Tiffany Taylor, Alex Taylor, and Kerry Morton leave. Thrillbilly sticks around. So, not sure if we're going to see any little influence from that. But, honestly, I thought this was just a funny segment. Like, stuff outside of the wrestling ring, I think is fun. I think more promotions should do stuff like this. Because it's nice character building stuff. And you could see different people interacting different ways. Which is what I'm really enjoying with the NWA right now. Not to say their wrestling is bad. Their wrestling is not bad at all. But it's moments like these that really do pique my interest. So next, after another NWA history highlights, you get a Brian Idol promo, and we start off by seeing him like flip chairs. He kind of hits the indent of the door. Then he turns to the camera and says, "Carnage, you cost me the World Heavyweight title. And I'm talking to Billy Corgan. He's willing to give me another world title shot. But next week, you got a chance to win that shot." As we go in a no DQ match, I'm going to uphold the history of the NWA. I'm going to beat you, and then I'm going to dethrone Thrillbilly Silas Mason. So, some good motivation, and at least for now, a new target in Carnage. I'm not sure what happened to Damage, but I think it's time to unmask these guys. Even though we kind of already know who they are. I think one of them's Marshe Rocket, if you remember him. Had a brief run in Impact, which I thought he could have done more, but that's another thing entirely. So next up, I believe this... No, this isn't the main event. Not quite. So it is the Crockett Cup first round match. The second to last one. I think the last one is going to be next week. On the card, it says Aaron Stevens and Carson Drake versus Latimer and El Dragon Nihon. However, the announcer announces the Drakes, which I found very weird. So Carson gets in the ring. Then we see the rest of the Federation of Champions come out. So that's Lockjaw Drake, the Slime Balls, which I don't know what's going on there. Mike Mondo, Slade. And then there was Tyler Stevens out there. So they're all hyping him up. Tyler Stevens then gets in the ring. And it's announced that he's going to be replacing Lockjaw Drake / Aaron Stevens. I don't know. This whole situation was weird. Like, I wish NWA would have been a little bit more straightforward with who was doing what. But end of the day, this was not a bad match at all. Latimer and Carson Drake do have some really good chemistry. And then just the straight hoss fight between Tyler Stevens and El Dragon Nihon was really, really good. And then we go to a commercial. Come back. We're back in Dr. Vic's abode. And then Miss Starr, or whoever this was, asked Dr. Vic, what do you feel about going after the NWA title? Vic answers, nah, I'm not a wrestler. It's not me. So, I think at this point it's revealed that this is Miss Starr when she says, I'm third generation superstar on both sides of my family. If you want Tiffany back, you're going to need that World Heavyweight title. And just so you know, I don't think you're just walking in and beating Thrillbilly. We know your strengths. And just think, this is for Tiffany. You, Dr. Vic, World Heavyweight Champion, and on your arm, Tiffany Nieves, the Women's Champion. And I need you to trust me. So, I'm going to say this. This is a little bit confusing to me. Because we have Miss Starr, who has been an ally of Tiffany Nieves pretty much since Tiffany has started in NWA. Why in the world is she trying to help Tiffany's essentially stalker to get with her? And potentially win the World Heavyweight title? No, this I'm going to say this. This has levels of Ms. Dad becoming WWE champion. We don't need that. So then we go to a different part of the arena. It's Pope and Mims. You see Mims just seething in the corner. He's ready to hit someone. So then Pope says, why don't you let it out? It looks like you got something to say. So Mims says, this doesn't make any sense. We don't do stuff like this. And all of a sudden the light shines on their dog ass once a day. So Pope puts up a hand, stops Mims, says, you obviously made your point. That's true. Good thing with the Pope, the light will always be with us. At that point, two masked goons walk in the frame. Mims looks up and sees them, points to them. He says, "Who the heck are these guys?" Pope turns to the masked superstars, looks at the camera, smiles, says, "They are the light." So it does look like we are getting a bit of a group with Pope and Mims, which, honestly, great idea. I just hope they don't turn out cultish like EC3's former group. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure who those two guys are going to be, but we'll see. So then we get back to the action, and they are just beating the heck out of each other with Carson Drake knocking Latimer over the top rope, then pulling the referee away. Then you see the Federation of Champions just pretty much jump Latimer, except for the slime balls. Then we see Aaron Stevens turn to him. He's trying to hype them both up. It looks they're really conflicted. They really don't want to hit him. Eventually they do, but at that point the referee has broken off from Carson. He sees the attack and throws them back out. Then we get a little bit more house fight with Stevens and Dragon. And then after a couple of big splashes by the big Dragon, Aaron Stevens then saves Drake, dragging him out of the ring. Dragon with a body slam. Latimer tags in which they hit a FTR-style aided pile driver, where Dragon had Stevens in the pile driver position, and then Latimer pushes down on his feet to pick up the win. I could kind of see these two guys upsetting a couple people. I don't think they're going anywhere near the finals. Sorry to you two guys, but I feel like these two are going to be a short-term thing, although I do wish they'd stay together. Anyway, NWA Power, a pretty solid episode, besides Miss Star helping Dr. Vic for whatever reason. I hope that is essentially a big setup where we can all just sit and laugh at Dr. Vic when it's revealed, oh, you were never getting with Tiffany Nieves. So, yeah, that was that. We now move to AEW Dynamite Spring Breakthrough. As we see first, MJF. We see Renee Paquette. She's trying to get a word with MJF, who is just pulling into the car park. He gets out of his SUV, says, like, "Hi, Renee." And she's trying to tell him about the whole Darby situation. He's kind of blowing him off. Then he says, "I've beaten everyone here in AEW. I kicked out of the One Wing Angel. Somebody stop me, because no one can." At that point, Don Callis walks up, congratulates Max on his successful title retention. Then he says, "Sorry about the whole Andrade thing." Max gets taken aback for a second. He's like, No, that's okay. He won, didn't he?" And Don says, "No, he didn't." Max then says, "I love you, Don, but you owe me one. Tell Andrade that he's not world title material." So Don walks off. MJF then starts to go. Renee stops him. He's like, "Max, what?" "I was here to talk about your match with Darby Allin." Max then says, "Yeah, when is it?" "It's tonight." "Okay, when does it start?" ding, 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 right now. So Max goes sprinting. Definitely a hell of a way to open the show, but it gets a little crazier. So, Darby Allin makes his entrance. Then so does MJF, but he's in full, MJF regalia. He's got his suit. He's got his scarf. He's like, no, we're not doing this right now. I just learned about this match was happening. And if I don't want something to happen, then it won't. And I'd sue everyone here to stop it. So then the ref kind of walks up to him and says, you want me to ring the bell? No. The crowd starts chanting, ring the bell. Ring the bell. MJF lets it go for a second. Says, ring the bell. You want to see this match tonight? You want to see it right now? Too damn bad. My body is aching wrestling Omega nearly 3 days ago. How would AEW look if I wrestled injured? I'm doing you a favor. Face it, Darby. You're talented, a great underdog, but you're like them. You're good. You're not great. And you're not championship material. You're not ready to be world. At that point, Darby rips the microphone from MJF's hands, says, all it takes is one night to drop the world on its head. I said I'd kill myself for this company. I climbed to the top of the world for this company. I'm ready. And I've been ready. My career started in this town years ago. It's time to take a breath. Either I'm going to make it or die trying. And tonight, I changed the world. Referee tries to ring the bell again. MJF gets in her way. MJF then starts arguing with the referee for a second. Then we hear, whoa, 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 whoa. As Bryan Danielson, who is on commentary, stands up and says, I got a big message from Tony Khan. And he agrees with MJF. It is unfair. He has to wrestle unprepared. So I'm going to give you all the time you need because this match happens in the main event. So that gets a big old reaction. Danielson continues. And Max, if you refuse this match tonight, you'll be stripped of the World Heavyweight title. Again, big old pop. Darby then with the microphone says, tonight I'm beating your ass with a headlock takeover. And what's interesting is that move, MJF beat Darby in their last match with that move. So that's going to be relevant for later. This was a white hot opening segment. I loved every single moment. And it definitely seemed like the crowd did too. I was hyped. I was ready to go. And the more I watched, the more I thought, yeah, Darby's got this. Although, there was a big sign later on that we're going to talk about. So next we see Kenny Omega. It's post his match on Dynasty. He's being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. He walks up and he says, yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing for you guys. Sorry. So then he walks into the Doc's office he's got there. And who's sitting on the table too? It's Will Ospreay. So Omega sits down next to Ospreay and says, look at us. You feeling on? Omega answers, nah. Things didn't go our way tonight. And I feel like I let everyone down. Ospreay then perks up, says, Didn't you feel the same way when Okada beat you at Wrestle Kingdom? I know you'll bounce back better than ever. Omega then says, well, I feel like I don't have much time left in the ring. Ospreay then says, AEW is pro wrestling. It's on you. You still got this. And while I'm sad, I cried for a bit. My dream is still becoming World Heavyweight Champion. And I'm not giving up, and neither should you. So at that point, Ospreay leaves, leaving Kenny the sole focus as he walks around the table saying, maybe I can't give up. I still have a chance. Maybe there's still a chance. I absolutely love this. These two guys have gone from enemies to allies really, really quickly. And honestly, this made me a little emotional. Like, it's definitely been a while. A promo made me feel anything, really. So, this, not only did this feel very interesting, it felt real. Like, it kind of felt like the real feeling between the both of these two. And, yeah, even though Kenny lost, he's going to get back on that horse and try again, which I'm all for. And, yeah, legitimately, I almost cried at that. Like, that was a beautiful little moment. So, next up, we got our... Is this our first match? Holy cow, it's our first match. First official match. World title match obviously didn't start. We got Tommaso Ciampa taking on Desmond Xavier of the Rascals. And this was a pretty big surprise with Ciampa with the more technical brawling skill. Desmond Xavier with the Flash-like speed. Like, this was a really fun back and forth program with Tez attempting a crossbody, Ciampa intercepting it with a big knee strike, hitting Project Ciampa. Then he goes to the corner, drops his knee pad, hits a running knee strike to pick up the win. Honestly, fun little matchup. Really get a little bit more hype after, honestly, that opening was hype. So then, as Ciampa's celebrating, calls for a microphone. He gets it, speaks into the camera, says, "This was just an example. Why? Because I'm sick of waiting. I came to AEW because I want it all. And Darby, MJF, whoever wins, I'm coming for the AEW World title." He then gets up, drops the microphone, gets a little post-match cheap shot on Dez, and walks off. So we got some potential heavy hitters coming post the main event, which we'll get to. And, yeah, instead of just going for the TNT title again, Ciampa's aiming a little higher, which I do appreciate that. Next, we get a little highlight reel of MJF versus Darby. Some of their escapades, including Darby Allin climbing Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji, that's not right. And the last match they had with one another, which MJF won with a headlock takeover. So then we get to this weird thing. So it's an FTR in-ring promo with Dax starting saying, "I've heard all the talk about online, all the complaints, and it seems to me the fact that FTR wins again makes you all angry. You guys love the underdog stories because you can relate to the underdog, but you're not underdogs. Like Cope and Christian, you're all losers. And speaking of, we gave Cope and Christian a brush with relevancy. But know this, Cope and Christian, as long as we are the tag team champions, you can't challenge for the titles again. So then Stokely Hathaway takes the microphone. He starts saying something, and then the crowd is chanting, "No hose, no hose," which that clearly stuck with Stokely, who continues saying, "Clearly everyone here knows the story of David Goliath. Right now, FTR is Goliath. And we've seen nothing but David so far, and every time they try to step up, we knock them down. We see there's no competition here in AEW, so we know Tony Khan is going to go to CMLL and New Japan, but it doesn't matter. Won't knock him down either way." Cash takes the microphone and says, "Well said. I'd like to pay homage to Cage and Copeland with a moment of silence." So they start bowing their heads. Crowd immediately boos. Cash then stops it, then says, "And for those of you with the benefit of flash photography, we're not giving you a 10-second pose," which is the gimmick of Cope and Christian when they were in WWE, which, honestly, that was a nice shot. And then they just thank the crowd and leave, which I was kind of hoping someone would step up here. There's still plenty of tag teams that I feel like could challenge FTR. Would they win? Probably not. But I don't know. I'd like some build up to Double or Nothing, which I'll get to that in 2 seconds. Anyway, after that weird little promo, we got, honestly, kind of the match of the night. No, it is definitely the match of the night. It's for the TNT title, as Kevin Knight takes on Claudio Castagnoli. And Claudio absolutely destroyed Knight early on. He fought back a little bit, but eventually got caught. Claudio attempts the neutralizer. That gets blocked by Knight. But then Knight experiences the giant swing, which, that was definitely interesting. Attempts to lock in the sharpshooter, but Kevin Knight blocks it. Hits a leaping clothesline, then a UFO splash to pick up the win. Now, the match itself was really, really good. Really well paced. Although, I do also feel like it was a little rushed. A little bit. But, overall, I'll absolutely take it. Post-match, Kevin Knight gets on the microphone, saying, "Shout out to Claudio, one of the hardest hitting dudes here on the roster. But I'm not letting this stop me. You feeling the new champion? Before I won this, I lost the trios titles with Speedball. I'm not blaming you, brother. We'll get those back. But sometimes when one door closes, another one opens. And tonight's big one, Darby versus MJF, I'm going to be keeping my eye on that. Because Jet 2 Belt sounds so fly." Honestly, I'm going to say there's another pretty worthy challenger to either MJF or Darby. And yeah, I feel like he fits right in. So then we get some highlights from Dynasty, from the Ricochet versus Jericho match, in which Jericho looked pretty good, I'm not going to lie. So then we get a Chris Jericho in-ring interview saying, I know I now feel back. I feel so happy I'm back in AEW. And that was one of my favorite matches in recent memory. But I don't think I lost because I was rusty. I was completely outnumbered. Congratulations, Ricochet. And at that moment, the demand come out. With Ricochet taking the lead, saying, Jericho, listen, I respect the heck out of you. After my win at Dynasty, I respect you even more. And you got yourself hurt like I said you would. And I took you out with a Rico Salt, which it's play on Jericho Salt, which is honestly clever. Ricochet continues, you didn't completely embarrass yourself, but you didn't stop the rise of Ricochet. So then Jericho retorts, saying, oh, quit while you're ahead. I've seen it all from you. Oh. Ricochet, this is actually Ricochet saying, you're going to be the guy who just gets up beat by the demand week after week, but it'll be the best run of your entire career. At that point, Jericho responds saying, really? The Rico Salt? I appreciate you coming out here, Ricochet, and sharing your opinion, but you're up there standing on the stage with your two goons, and he keeps popping into the promo, bald, overrated, bald, which get funny little reactions from the crowd. So then Jericho continues, I got a proposition for you. Leave your two goons and face me in the ring right now, one-on-one. It's clear you know what you're doing. Ricochet responds, I'm not afraid to face you one-on-one. Jericho responds, oh, please, you're scared. At that point, Ricochet talks to DOA. He approaches the ring. Jericho taunts him. He gets in. Ricochet looks for a clothesline, misses. Jericho with a hip toss, couple of stomps. At that point, DOA come in, attack Chris Jericho. He fights back a little bit, but the numbers are too much. And then Gates of Agony would then open the gates to end the segment. Oh, and Ricochet hits the Rico Salt to end the segment. Honestly, I think this was a fun little segment. I kind of wished we were done with this feud, but I guess it's continuing for a little bit. Maybe this is going to end up being the Anarchy in the Arena match, but I guess we'll see. So then we go back to Dynasty, kind of, for a talk with, it was supposed to be both Takeshita and Rick and Okada, but it's only Okada and Don Callis. With Callis saying, what happened out there? Okada then said, it was a 2-on-1 situation. I couldn't adjust. At that point, Takeshita walks by. Don Callis stops him, says, Takeshita, what happened? Takeshita then says, oh, oops. I'm so sorry. At that point, Takeshita puts his hand on Okada's chest, kind of pushes him off, walks away while Okada is being held back by Don Callis. So, this feud's going to be interesting. It's finally time to pay this off. I'm ready. Next up, a very unexpected matchup, as we got Will Ospreay, who is just covered in tape, taking on Henchacero. And this was a fun match. And to everyone who says, "Oh, Ospreay doesn't sell," he doesn't sell. He sold the ever-loving hell out of Henchizero's attacks, especially with his neck, involving his neck. You could see him continuously holding it, ready to go. At one point, Ospreay attempts the hidden blade. Henchizero intercepts it and hits a big old Rana, a leg DDT, which was crazy. At that point, Don Callis gets up off the commentary, argues with a ref for a second, which was very strange. And after some ground and pound strikes from Henchizero, the ref backs him off and the doctor checks on him. I honestly thought we were about to lose Will Ospreay again, but we come back from break and they're keeping going, especially with the attacks to Ospreay's neck, including a triangle hold, arm bars. After another attempted armbar, Ospreay breaks out, hits the Styles Clash, and then the hidden blade to pick up the win. This is a match I'm going to say, if you haven't seen it yet, go give it a watch. It was fantastic. Post-match, we got former Will Ospreay ally Mark Davis coming out and attacking Ospreay post-match. Afterwards, hitting a pile driver. So, yeah, that's gonna be an interesting little matchup. And we'll see how the former members of the United Empire get going. Because that was just a fun match. So then we got a little Willow Nightingale promo from Dynasty, where she accepts the challenge from Camille. Then we kind of get the start of a Thekla interview. Renee Paquette is out on the ramp, but then Thekla comes out of the crowd saying, "I just wanted to remind everyone I'm still champion, and you better get used to it. And this industry is filled with nothing but dumb bitches." At that point, Alex Windsor storms out on the stage, says, "Oh, you beat Jamie Hayter Sunday. I want some payback right now." She gets in the ring, points at it. Thekla laughs at her a little, saying, "Why are you so angry? You're mad at me because your boy, Ospreay, lost. You're not the champion here. But I'll call you the girl who was dumb enough to attack management." Oh, that's actually Windsor to Thekla, who, if you don't know, Thekla, at least in storyline, I think, when she was a part of Stardom, I think it was, or maybe it was TJPW, I'm not 100% sure. The storyline is the reason she left that promotion is because she attacked management, i.e. GM, whatever it is. So Thekla responds, "You think you can handle Thekla? Okay. You want me to handle you right now? How about no?" Then Windsor responds, "How about I meet you tomorrow night, aka later tonight, on Collision?" And Thekla just like, "Oh, yeah." At that point, the Sisters of Sin, which is Sky Blue and Julia Hart, come in. They try to attack Alex Windsor, but Windsor fights them off. And then she jumps the barricade to chase Thekla out of the arena, which, I'll admit, that was a nice little hype up. I kind of wish something like this would have happened in the FTR promo, hyping up an upcoming matchup. Anyway, next up, we go backstage for a Jon Moxley promo. He's got Wheeler Yuta, Marina Shafir, and I think Pac with him. As he says, I don't like to be surprised. Ospreay never surprises me. Maybe I pay more attention. Ospreay showed me all of his cards at Dynasty. I don't take pleasure in the suffering of honors. I prefer life over death. And without one of those, there's another. He then turns to Yuta, who says, who am I facing on Collision? Yuta's like, Nick Wayne. Moxley then looks up at the camera and says, Nick Wayne, we got a match on Collision. Surprise me. Leave my jaw on the floor. He goes to leave, stops, turns back at the camera and says, leave your mom in the back, please. If you don't know, Mama Wayne was a pretty big part of the Nick Wayne character, especially with his team with Killswitch, aka Luchasaurus, and Christian Cage. And Kip Sabian too, actually. So, yeah, we're getting that on Collision later tonight. That's going to be a fun one. But first, we got the TBS title on the line. So we got Willow Nightingale defending against Camille. And while it wasn't a bad match, it wasn't necessarily the best I've seen out of both these two. Overall, it was fine with Camille attempting a big power slam. Willow blocks it, hitting a roll-up to pick up the win. Yeah, this wasn't a match I need to write home about, and I'm going to try to be a little nice about this. Camille doesn't belong in AEW. She's not the best in the ring. Like, I've seen her do better, obviously, but I don't think this was her best work. And, like, I get it. This was her first attempt back, but I definitely seen her do more. But I also feel like maybe a change of scenery would be good for her. Then we go backstage for a promo with Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. Although Shida kind of takes lead on it. And she says, man, kind of clapping sarcastically, saying, Willow, what a great champion. Then she stops, kind of deadpan for a second. Then she turns to Statlander and says, last Saturday night we made a heck of a team. 2 AEW originals. So I talked to Tony Khan and we're going to team up once again on Collision this week. Ta-da. So Shida walks off kind of laughing Joker style, leaving Statlander there confused, let's say. I'm not sure how I feel about Statlander and Shida teaming up, but I'm willing to give it a chance. Then we see a scene of MJF heading to the ring. No interruptions. Then we cut to a Darby Allin potential interview. Renee asked about the upcoming match. They both stop dead. And look, clearly they got something. They're looking at something off screen. The camera pans over. It's Sting! Great to see Stinger back. So he walks over to Darby, puts a hand on his shoulder, asks, you ready for tonight? You know what to do tonight. Go out there and do it. Darby nods, kind of says under his breath, it's showtime. Sting puts a hand on his chest, turns to him, says, no, it's your time. Then Darby walks off. Sting stays there for a second, hyping up Darby. And I'm going to say that right now, at that point, when Stinger showed up, I knew for a fact Darby Allin was going to win the world title tonight. But the interesting way how has a lot of people mad. And I'll explain that right now as we go to our AEW World Title match as MJF defends against Darby Allin. And before, right at the bell, MJF is calling time. Reaches in his tights, pulls out his Dynamite Diamond ring, gives it over to the referee as the referee is throwing it on the outside. Boot right to the twig and berries of Darby. Then MJF is about to hit a headlock takeover. The match that the move that MJ beat Darby with last time. Darby gets out of it, pushes MJF into the referee. No ref bump, but that distracts the ref long enough for MJF to come out of the corner. Darby Allin with a low blow himself brings MJF in, hits a Scorpion Death Drop, and then not one, not two, not three, but 4 coffin drops, and then finishing up with a headlock takeover for your winner and new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Darby Allin. And yeah, that was a heck of a moment. So unexpected and cool. And I have seen the very mixed reactions to it. A lot of people were not expecting it. Like me, I thought this was going to be a long, really good matchup. For it to be so short was just so odd and jarring, and I'm going to say it, I kind of liked it. Because if you remember, MJF lost similarly to this to Brody King before he beat him in a world title match in Australia. So I feel like this is going to be a similar thing. We're going to give Darby Allin some time with the world title while MJF goes off and films whatever he's filming. And then eventually he's going to come back, hopefully by Double or Nothing, so we can have that title rematch, in which that's going to be in Queens, technically Long Island, so I think that would make sense for him to get the title back there. As Darby's celebrating, the confetti's coming down. On the big Jumbotron is Darby Allin, World Heavyweight Champion graphic. Looks great. At that point, Face Locker Room comes out, celebrating with Darby. Then Stinger comes out. He and Darby embrace to end the show. What an awesome moment. Congrats, Darby Allin. You absolutely have deserved this more than... Well, I'm not going to say more than anyone. There's definitely a lot of people I would have picked for World Champion first, but I'm not going to say I'm as mad as some people out there. And honestly, I kind of feel like I understand what's going to be going on soon. So, this is to the members of the wrestling community more than a little bit mad at this. Let's give it a little time. Let's see how this develops. Because I think this is step one of a, maybe not a long-term story, but at least a decent story coming up once MJF comes back. So, that was my 2 cents about that. I really enjoyed AEW this week, although one down. And it's the Camille Willow Nightingale match. They struggled to keep me interested. But nothing against either of them. Still a fan of Willow. I think it's time to go the separate ways with Camille. Anyway, so that's it for that. I will try to take some notes for both TNA and AEW Collision. Both are showing tonight. I'm not going to watch both of them tonight. I'll probably watch TNA tonight. Maybe do Collision tomorrow. Cover them both on Monday. So, hopefully you guys enjoy your weekend. If you're planning on watching WrestleMania this week, I hope you guys enjoy to the best of your ability. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.